Hello, scholars. Dr. Ratcliffe here. I just wanted to make a brief video to orient us to our second week of class. As you know, we've now completed the first module. The Start Here module is now finished, and so you will probably be going back to this module just to be getting some references, especially the recording requirements page. That should be something you're very familiar with. And then, of course, our schedule. You notice that you've been broken into some discussion groups for the introduction discussion. You'll stay in these groups throughout the semester. These are groups of about 15 students, just in case you are, or when you have future class discussions or when you're turning in your speeches, these are the students that will basically be seeing your work and you'll be seeing their work. I did that because there's about 75 of you in this class, and so if we were posting on discussion boards with 75 people, you can imagine it'd get pretty crazy, and so that's why you're in a particular discussion group. Later, we'll put you in teams for the team presentations. Those will be even smaller groups of, I think, about 3, but that'll come later in the semester. And of course, the syllabus contract is now complete. It looked like most of you got that in, so that's great. So I do want to kind of give you an orientation. You may notice that right after the Start Here module is this speech preparation module. This is a reference module. There are no assignments in it, and you basically refer to this module when you need help with public speaking. And so you'll notice that there's a page over public speaking anxiety. I've made a couple of videos about various topics. One of those videos is about how to handle the nerves when you give a speech in front of an audience, and so that page contains that information. There's also information about the different styles of speaking or creating a speech, the steps to go into preparing a speech, and this is a page that we'll be referring to quite a bit, how to make an outline and speaker notes and how to use those. And so these are all just for your information, and you access it at any point that you feel you need help with a particular topic. And so it's kind of expected that you know these things. You'll be teaching yourself by reading these pages and going into speech assignments knowing these particular elements. But for purposes of this week, we're going to skip to week 2 module. And as you can see, it's a much shorter module. And so your modules won't always be this short. And so this might be a good week to go back up to that speech preparation module and allow yourself time to review some concepts or learn some of those concepts. And so week 2, we're going to cover chapter 1. I always post the PowerPoint to that chapter that's given to me by the publisher of the textbook. Please know, though, that that's not a great substitute for the chapter or for the textbook. I know some of you struggle with finding the financial means to purchase your textbook if your financial aid has not yet come through. And so you do have this PowerPoint, but it's going to be containing pretty broad information. It's not going to contain a lot of specifics that you will find helpful for quizzes and exams. Speaking of quizzes, you'll have your first chapter quiz this week. You'll notice that we follow up every single chapter with a quiz of 5 questions. And so when you open the quiz, there'll be some instructions. Basically, it'll be a 5-question quiz. There'll be multiple choice, maybe some true, false. You'll have 20 minutes to complete it. So sure, you can use your book, but you probably need to have a pretty good understanding of the chapter before you take the quiz, since you may not have time to look up every single answer. And so your page will look a little different from mine. You'll have a blue button at the bottom that says take the quiz. And so when you hit that, your time begins and you don't get another chance to take it. So just make sure when you're taking these quizzes that you have good internet connection and have time, that you're not interrupted, and you're able to focus on that assignment. I just want to look ahead because our first speech is coming up during week 3. It's due February 1st. This is our test speech. I don't necessarily need to go into detail right now, but I do want you to be aware that it's coming up and it's here for you to read about. Basically, this speech is going to be an introduction speech of yourself, but what I'm really looking for is whether or not you can follow the recording requirements for this class. And so can you link back to these recording requirements? Did you read them? Did you follow them? Did you have the required members in your audience? Did you record appropriately? Did you upload it correctly? And so these are things that you'll be graded on. Basically, this is either an all or nothing assignment. So either you do it and you get 100, or you don't do it correctly and you get a 0. And so that's something that you want to pay close attention to. If gathering an audience is going to be an issue for you, then you may want to get creative. First, if it's totally outside of your comfort zone to ask people to be an audience, then you may want to drop this class and take a hybrid class instead. Second, if you don't have a lot of people that are available to be your audience, you may start contacting classmates in your discussion groups. And you can do that through sending them a message in Canvas inbox. And so you may just see how people are doing it, if you can join a group that's already in existence, or if other people are struggling to get an audience together, can you join them? And so I've had students that do that. They don't have an audience at home or at work, and so they just kind of make friends in our class, and they all meet on campus or somewhere centrally located. And so that might be something that you can do. Other than that, you might want to get a little creative, and so think about your church or your work environment or people in your other classes. If you take classes on campus and you're meeting people face to face, you might see if some of them can serve as your audience. And so that's something that a lot of people have struggled with in the past, not so much anymore, because now I think it's pretty well known that when you take an online speech class at TJC, you're going to have an audience that you gather. And so just give it some consideration and plan ahead. That's the key. So that's coming up. Just wanted to give you an idea of what's coming up not only this week in week 2, but also in week 3. Feel free to work ahead if you want to in terms of these chapter quizzes. You can see that we've got several over the next several weeks, and then we'll start getting into some longer speeches. And so that's it for now. I look forward to hearing from you if you have any questions. I've already been interacting with quite a few of you on the discussion boards a little bit with the introduction discussion, and then of course also in the Canvas inbox messaging function. So if you have any questions, just let me know, and have a great week.